Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, the dengue outbreak in Delhi is far more compared to the last 2 to 3 years, say senior doctors. Mortality numbers, some say, is also on the rise. Delhi logged 1,171 dengue cases from the 1st to the 6th of November. The situation seems to be worsening at a time when it should not be so bad. After Diwali, usually the dengue situation, it evaporates, it goes away. Not so this time, not so this year. So just how bad is the situation? That is our first debate. Next on the show, justice after 24 years. Businessmen Sushil Ansal and Gopal Ansal have been sentenced to 7 years in jail for tampering with evidence linked to the fire in Delhi's Uphaar theatre in 1997 that killed 59 people. On the show tonight, Neelam Krishnamurthy, who led the 2-decade-plus long fight for justice. She lost both her children that day. We'll also be joined by other family members who have lost so much. And finally, on this 1-hour show tonight, at least 5 people have died. As many as 538 huts and homes, 4 homes, have been completely damaged in Tamil Nadu because of incessant rainfall. More damage is expected if the rain intensifies. The rainfall very, very intense, some of the most intense we've seen in Chennai in several years. Is this linked to climate change is what we are asking. But first, the dengue situation in hospitals in Delhi. The situation increasingly appears to be bleak.
27-year-old Priyansh Upadhyay, an employee at a cold storage, was shifted from Firozabad to Agra and then to Delhi when his platelet count plummeted to 18,000, much below the normal of 1.5 lakh to 3 lakh.
उन्होंने जब तबीयत ज़्यादा बढ़ती देखी, प्लेटें मेरी 18,000 रह गई थी, तो उन्होंने आगरा के लिए इस हॉस्पिटल के लिए रेफर किया था। खाना बिल्कुल बंद हो गया था, बिल्कुल भूख नहीं लगती थी, टॉयलेट करना बिल्कुल बंद हो गए थे, बिल्कुल शरीर एकदम बॉडी सुन्न हो गई थी।
Doctors confirm there are several dengue cases in the capital, much more than the last 2 to 3 years, but that many have come from the state of Uttar Pradesh.
We're getting complicated cases which are coming from NCR daily and even from UP.
But on a daily basis, at least 80 to 100 people are walking in with dengue fever and dengue symptoms.
Yes.
Out of which you say, how many would be serious? Just to give a range or a number.
About 20% would be.
20%. Unable to deal with the rising numbers, a municipal hospital in East Delhi had to cancel elective and emergency surgeries to treat the nearly 250 dengue cases coming in each day.
Before Diwali, condition was worse. We were getting around 250 to 300 fever cases per day. Out of them, 70 to 80% patients were dengue patients. And our all wards were full. Now it has improved. Now today 127 patients are admitted. We are 40 to 50% patients are from UP. Loni, we are getting many patients from UP.
Charanjit Gupta's wife tested positive for dengue 4 days after she had a baby.
डिलीवरी के चौथे दिन से ही डेंगू हो गया था, तो थोड़ी सी दिक्कत परेशानी हुई है, और थोड़ी माँ को भी, थोड़े बच्चे को भी, जो उसको दूध पिलाने की भी दिक्कत थी, और हॉस्पिटलों में दिक्कत परेशानी होती है, इनसे यहाँ पर पूरी सुविधा मिली है।
Delhi has logged over 1100 dengue cases between the 1st and the 6th of November after reporting over 1100 all through October and over 200 in September. Over 2,700 cases reported so far is the most since 2018. Doctors say that patients are coming in from neighbouring cities of Haryana and Uttar Pradesh into Delhi for treatment for dengue. Doctors have confirmed that Delhi at the moment is witnessing a dengue outbreak, and if timely action is not taken, then cases will only rise. With Mohammad Mursalin in Delhi, Shunakshi Chakravarti, NDTV.
Well, joining us now, two of Delhi's most senior doctors and one extremely senior doctor from Lucknow. We are joined by Dr. S.K. Sareen, Dr. D.S. Rana, who is chairman of the Board of Management at Sir Ganga Ram, and Dr. Ved Prakash of King's George's Medical University in Lucknow. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Dr. Rana, what is the situation that you're seeing in dengue wards at your hospital?
Yeah, as it was pointed just now, Vishnu, that this year the incidence of dengue is much higher than previous years, and 50% patients are from Delhi, almost 50% are from outside Delhi, and almost 50% population is kids. And many people are coming with very serious disease because in a tertiary care hospital like Gangaram, people come with serious conditions. And mortality also pretty high, but many people are having involvement of liver, some 20% people are having involvement of kidneys requiring dialysis. So they are pretty serious, and our ICU facility totally overwhelmed with them.
Your ICU is overwhelmed at Sir Gangaram with dengue cases presently, sir?
Yeah, especially in pediatrics ward.
How many beds do you have in the ICU, sir, and how many are dengue patients?
We have right now the full, our pediatric ICU. They are having 22 patients. Out of that, some 16 patients are in ICU only.
Sorry, sir, could you repeat that number? Could fallback be raised, please? Could you just repeat that number?
Today,
how many?
Today we have got 22 patients in Gangaram Hospital of pediatric population. Out of majority of them, they are in ICU ward. 16 patients are in ICU.
16 out of 22 are in the ICU ward.
I'm talking of children only.
Of children, 16 of 22. And what about adults, sir?
Adults also, we have got 28 patients today, or 29 now. There are also, not many, but there are also at least the people, those who are being referred from outside hospitals, they're pretty serious. I think I can't give you the exact figure, but there's 7 to 10 patients, those in ICU.
Okay. Dr. Sareen, is there, and correct me if I'm wrong, when one speaks about dengue, is it only one strain of dengue that comes every year, or is there a variation year to year? Is there anything for us to look at the disease or the strain of the disease to say it's more infectious, more dangerous?
Well, this year certainly we have found that the infection is more severe, and those people who have got dengue in the past have also got dengue. So it clearly means that there are 4 serotypes, and one serotype can protect you from not having it again, but it does not protect you from having another serotype. Like, you have COVID and you have then the Delta variant, you can get it infected. So this is true of all these viruses. New strains can infect. And this year we are seeing, at least the liver area where I work, the dengue cases are known to have 70 to 80% have liver enzymes high. They have pain abdomen. Patients come with vomiting, nasal bleed, and liver failure. So almost like 2 to 3 cases in a week are coming with severe liver failure. They have kidney failure, brain failure, so multi-organ dysfunction, and they are very sick. And the time is so short from the time they are not having that much platelet reduction as organ failure, which is rather a bit unusual. And second part of their presentation is they are young with very high immune response. So they shut down their systems very fast. So my suggestion, at least 2 or 3, which I can in continuation say, if somebody has fever, then please do not give aspirin or ibuprofen like things, because they cause bleeding, and dengue causes bleeding. So you can enhance bleeding by giving such drugs. Give simple paracetamol to these patients, refer them to the hospital, hydrate them very well, give them water so that they can reach the hospital in time.
Sorry, and Dr. Sareen, the point you mentioned just now about more cases of organ failure this year. Could you explain that again, what you're seeing?
Like normally dengue is divided by WHO in 2, whether you have symptoms or you have no symptoms. If you have symptoms, then it is severe. So dengue, which is severe, causes reduction in blood pressure like shock. These patients have got very high liver enzymes. Normal liver enzyme upper limit is 40. In dengue, we used to see 300, 500. This year, the liver enzymes have gone up to 7,000, 10,000, as if somebody's whole liver is packed, collapsed. The kidney injury, there is no urine made by the kidneys. Brain failure, heart is not functioning, like myocarditis. And there is total vasculopathy, means bleeding tendencies all over. So these are some of these multi-organ dysfunctions which people with severe dengue have come. They require blood pressure management, they require ICU facilities. I think that creates a huge load, and also our index of suspicion. You must diagnose dengue, and it is easy to diagnose NS1 within half an hour to 1 hour. So everyone should get tested for dengue. But you can have dengue-like symptoms. You may have test negative. And that's where Zika and others can come. So any acute febrile illness which comes, which is very severe, must be attended to. And if fever is 103, 104 with eye pains and all that, muscle ache, body ache, rush to the hospital, get them admitted and attended to.
Dr. Ved Prakash, what are you seeing at King George's Medical University, particularly among children?
Yeah, Vishnu, we are taking a lot of patients, even children and all age of the patients we are taking in the hospital and treating. And this is something about the symptoms. Yes, definitely the symptoms are a severe one in majority of cases. We are having the referral center, that is tertiary care referral center, so we are getting the referred cases. So all kind of cases we are admitting for dengue, and we are also admitting in ICUs. So definitely the spectrum of the severity is definitely going up, and we are taking extra measures for the treatment plans. As
Dr. Ved Prakash, because you're saying very similar things to what Dr. Sareen is also mentioning. So when you say you're seeing more severe symptoms in Lucknow at your hospital, what more severe symptoms are you seeing?
See, we are the 4 serology types like D1, D2, D3, D4, and we are catering the D2 variant in much more cases this time, and the D2 is more severe form of the variant for dengue. So we are
Dr. Rana, why is D2? Why is the D2 strain
all sides
more dangerous? Just again, because we try and learn on this program as well.
Actually, what happens that usually every year there is some strain, and next year strain may change actually. And if the people, those who were already infected with dengue, if they got infected second time by some other strain, they get very serious disease. And that is the reason we don't know really if this is dengue 2 or dengue 3. But the theory I was telling that normally whatsoever strain is there in particular season, the immunity is only against that. The rest 3 strains are unprotected. And that is also true that whenever people those who are already infected and they get infected, as Dr. Simpson I told that many people those who had infection last year, they got also infected. They are going to get a serious disease, But this is very important that one factor which we were not seeing initially, that is the liver damage, kidney damage. They are very much more common than what commonly we were calling, platelet fear. So this is people are coming in a sort of shock syndrome,
Dr. Sareen, is that just to add to what Dr. Rana was mentioning, do you believe that a lot of the patients, the severity of cases is because people are coming to hospital late, that the disease has progressed, or is it because again of the strain or the nature of the illness itself?
Well, it could also be selection bias. People who come to a referral hospital or a tertiary care hospital are all sick. I do think that many more patients are seen by physicians at the periphery in the residential colonies. They may not be very severe, but yes, it is known that dengue, especially the D2, 1 in 10 can be serious. 1 in 10, that is 10%. In COVID, it could be 2 to 5%, but dengue can be more, especially if dengue affects those with same comorbidities like diabetes, overweight, or fatty liver, or elderly people. The comorbidities in COVID and dengue remain the same. And therefore, we should be considerable to those people who are vulnerable and protect them. Another thing is, just to give you a broad spectrum, is the mosquito. The mosquito carries 4 viruses. One of them is dengue. second is Zika, third is chikungunya, and fourth is yellow fever. India has seen at least two of them, dengue and chikungunya, in big way. Now Zika is coming, which is also one of the same mosquito takes it, to one person to the other person. We don't have vaccines enough for any of them. I know India had Zika virus patented, strain, but we haven't got the vaccine ready. Bharat Biotech had prepared it. We need vaccines to prevent these viral infections in the winter season. And of course, protection measures. One more thing which public and people through you should know, that COVID, once you get a vaccine for COVID, any of them, you can get fever, and this fever may last 4 or 5 days. But sometimes people think it is only because of the vaccine. Please do understand, sometimes you may have a coincidence that you got the vaccine and same day the mosquito found you.
That's such an important point, that if you have fever after being vaccinated, investigate it to make sure that it's not just because of the vaccine itself. It could be something else, given how vulnerable people. So thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll keep all of this in mind. It is fairly alarming, the situation, not just in the national capital region, but reports also of other cities, for example, Lucknow as well. Thank you very much indeed. Next on the show, justice after 24 years. Businessmen Sushil Ansal and Gopal Ansal have been sentenced to 7 years in jail for tampering with evidence linked to a fire at Delhi's Uphaar theatre in 1997, in which 59 people were killed. On the show tonight, we've got Neelam Krishnamurthy and Shekhar Krishnamurthy. They lost their children in that tragedy. Neelam Krishnamurthy has been very much the face of this fight for several decades. In 1997, a year after I joined journalism, I remember this being among my initial stories which I tracked, and I've followed Neelam Krishnamurthy very, very closely, and 24 years later we continue to talk about this. But I think, Neelamji, we talk about this today, with a sense of some more justice having been delivered. That was not the case for so many decades. We're also joined by Naveen Soni, and we're also joined by ML Sehgal. ML Sehgal lost his son Vikas, who was 21 years old. Shekhar and Neelam Krishnamurthy lost both their children. Naveen Soni lost his daughter, who was just 21 years old. Thank you for having the courage to come today. These are wounds which will never go away. Neelam Krishnamurthy, do you believe that the justice that you have fought for so many years, you've been able to get that justice finally yesterday?
Yes, Vishnu. After about a quarter century, I can say that justice has been done. I stand vindicated. It took me 2.5 decades to get justice, which should have actually come to us within the shortest possible time. But unfortunately, in our country, justice takes a long time. And I can say that my stand has been vindicated. If you remember, I was on your show in 2015 and I had specifically said that I have lost faith in the justice delivery system in this country. I was shattered by the verdict that the Supreme Court delivered when Ansals were allowed to walk free and pay 30 crore each for their freedom of 1 year. But yesterday, my faith in the judiciary has been restored.
Yeah.
Because Ansals have rightly been convicted and sent behind bars where they belong. Because it is just not getting away with murder. They managed to do that. They also tried to get away with tampering of judicial records, which according to the Supreme Court itself, which had cancelled the bail, you all remember in 2008, the Supreme Court had cancelled the bail. And one of the Supreme Court judges had said this, tampering with evidence is worse than murder and decapitating. So, which has actually been proved right. And this is what the ACMM in Patiala House Court has held. And he sent them behind bars for 7 years. That is the maximum that a ACMM can give a judgment to. Otherwise, 409 actually attracts up to life.
Right.
But he's empowered only to give up to 7 years.
Yeah. Naveen Soni, you lost your daughter. I believe her name was Tarika. She was just 21 years old. Could you tell us a little bit about her? Could you tell us about your daughter?
She was 21 years old and she just, cleared her college, and we got her engaged, and she started pursuing NIIT course in IT because the boy was in America. So she said, okay, we will join together and we'll work there. So on that fateful day, she went to college to get her form signed for concession because we had to travel to Goa. But she told me that she is going to the picture hall with her friend. But by afternoon, I got a call where she has gone. I said to Uphaar. Then I came to know that there is a fire.
Yeah.
And that's all our hopes of getting her married and everything shattered once we know that she is no more lying in Ames.
Horrible. Shekhar Krishnamurthy, you lost both your children. Could you tell us briefly about them? Because this is, that's something that strikes you most. Tell us about your children.
13th June 1997 has been a black day for us. And Unnati was 17 and Ujjwal was 13. And it's taken us 25 years. And we're still fighting. The fight is still on. It's quite unfortunate in this country that the victims in this case have got together and they are fighting, not an NGO. All the 28 families together are fighting to get justice. And like Neelam said, that our hopes shattered in 2015 when they were given just mere 1 year and balance 1 year to be, substituted by the fine of 30 crores, 50 crores, whatever it is. So it really, we lost faith in the judiciary, and me and Neelam thought, no, it's no point continuing with this because this is the kind of system we have. We already, our youth has been spent in the court. Why fight? But when we went to a children's room, they said, no, you can't give up like this. You have to get justice for us. And they have been the force behind us. And we said, look, that this case we have to lead this case to a logical conclusion. And we started following up with the case. And despite Corona, for the last about 6-7 months, me and Neelam especially, that we have been going to the court physically because the CMM had taken a permission from the High Court, a special direction to have a virtual and both physical hearing.
And this case finally progressed, in that sense.
Yeah, progressed, and we had to really, it was a very difficult case to prove, and fortunately our PP, Mr. A.T. Ansari, and our lawyer Vikas Pava, they had complete conviction for this case, and we all together, it was a teamwork, and we all fought it out, and the result is in front of you.
ML Sehgal जी, आपका बेटा विकास सहगल था, 21 साल का था जब ये हादसा हुआ. विकास के बारे में कुछ बताएंगे आप?
विकास 21 साल का था. उस दिन मेरा जन्मदिन था. वो मुझे कहने लगा, पापा मैं यूपीएससी के ऑफिस जा रहा हूँ फॉर्म जमा करने के लिए एनडीए का. तो उसको मैंने ही अपने हाथ से 250 रुपए दिए.
वो फौजी बनना चाह रहा था.
हाँ, फौजी बनना चाहता
या
था.
आर्मी ज्वाइन करना चाह रहा था.
आर्मी ज्वाइन करना चाहता था. He was 5'10" height. He was a very good body height. तो आर्मी ज्वाइन करना चाहता था. मैंने उसको 250 रुपए दिए. पहले उसने यूपीएससी में फॉर्म जमा किया जाके सुबह मॉर्निंग में, और फिर वो तीजा उपहार सिनेमा पे चला गया पिक्चर देखने के लिए, मुझे बता के कि मैं सिनेमा घर जा रहा हूँ.
और वो भी बॉर्डर सिनेमा.
बॉर्डर सिनेमा. तो मैं आईटी में था उस टाइम दफ्तर में. 5 बजे मुझे पता लगा जब ऑफिस छूटा हमारा कि उपहार सिनेमा में आग लग गई है और विक्की भी पिक्चर देखने गया हुआ है. तो जब मैं घर आया तो मुझे पता लगा कि वो पिक्चर गया हुआ है, और रात को 11 बजे तक हमने उसका इंतजार किया घर पे. वो नहीं आया. बड़ी टेंशन में हो गए. सारे रास्ते बंद थे. हॉस्पिटल में घूमते घूमते पहले मेडिकल में गए, मेडिकल से फिर सफदरजंग में गए. तो रात को 11 बजे के लगभग, 11:30 के लगभग बर्न वार्ड में उसकी डेड बॉडी मिली आउटसाइड द बरांडा, और बॉडी के साथ पड़ी थी.
Neelam ji, do you have closure in your own mind after what has happened in court?
Vishnu, they can never give closure to what we've undergone. But yes, there can be a judicial closure to an extent, yes. Because this is something which we really wanted. But let me tell you one thing, Vishnu, this is not ending here. I know for sure maybe tomorrow, day after, they'll file an appeal and they'll ask for bail. But my question to the judiciary is, how long will they continue encouraging these people by leaving them on bail if they plan to, apply for bail and they're granted bail? And how long you're going to, let them continue with the criminal activities? It was only now that Sushil Ansal, while being convicted for the main case, being tried for the tampering case, he's gone and even cheated the government of India and the passport authorities. He's given a false affidavit and he's been getting his passport renewed, despite the fact that he's been, convicted, when you cannot get your passport renewed unless you have a NOC from the court. And Gopal Ansal has just filed an affidavit in the court while he was arguing for sentencing, saying that I have only been sentenced to 1 year by the Supreme Court and I have paid 30 crore rupees as compensation to the victims. This is on affidavit. These are the people who are never going to stop misleading the court. They have no deterrence of law. They're making mockery of our criminal justice system. So are the courts going to actually grant them bail? I want to know if they're going to encourage. Have these people been not on bail? There are so many people who've been cheated by them.
Yeah.
There has to be some deterrence. It's very important. And if you cannot grant bail to Father Stan Swami, you are not granting bail to Baragar Rao, Sarjan Kumar and Chautala. Why have sympathy for them? That is the first grievance I had with the Supreme Court. Why consider the age? Did they consider the age of the youngest victim who died in the Uphaar fire tragedy? The youngest victim was 30-day-old. Did they give consideration to the fact that there were 23 children who died in the Uphaar fire tragedy? Nobody thought about that, but everybody knew who Ansals were. They knew what their age was. Nobody knew my children's name. Nobody knew how old my children were, or for that matter, how old was Tarika and how old was Vikas. Nobody knew that. But yes, Ansals are known everywhere because they are rich and mighty. The powerful people, they have contacts at the right places. How did the judges know that they're old? Okay, fine, one can see from the affidavit. And other peculiar facts. What were the other peculiar facts?
Yeah.
I don't know any other facts about them.
I'll tell you what, ma'am, you mentioned all of this, and one of the things that you've done is you have fought for fire safety across the country. And even though a lot of you were able to get fire laws, or were part of the process through which fire laws in the country were changed and improved, we still continue to see horrific situations. For example, 4 newborns died on Monday night in a fire that broke out at a government hospital in Madhya Pradesh's Bhopal. The helpless family members had no option but to cry. The government is currently denying negligence. The facts gathered by NDTV suggest otherwise.
And Nikita, who work as laborers, lost their 12-day-old daughter in a Bhopal hospital fire.
अच्छा दूध पिला के आई, कल मैं अच्छा सब कुछ करके आई और रात को मेरा इस कांड के बाद में मेरी लड़की नहीं बची, तो बाद में सबको भगा दिया।
आप लोग को भी बिल्कुल अंदर नहीं जाने दिया, कुछ
नहीं जाने दिया।
The government says 4 children died in Monday's fire, but even today the bodies of 2 more children were brought out. Relatives alleged officials are lying and that the hospital staff fled.
या हॉस्पिटल में कोई किसी की नहीं सुन रही है, वो सब जो दिखा रहे हैं, जो बता रहे हैं, वो सब गलत है। इतने ऐसे बच्चे नहीं है, ऐसे बहुत बच्चे हैं। शांत हो गया मेरा बच्चा, मैं घर ले जा रहा हूँ।
Shockingly, the Kamla Nehru Hospital did not have crucial fire safety clearance for the past 2 decades, and neither was the firefighting equipment working according to officials.
फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर था, पर लेकिन हमने निकाला, खाली थे सब खाली, कोई काम नहीं कर रहा था। जब इस बार सारंग आया, उसके बाद इनकी पूरी टीम अंदर घुसी और तब बच्चों को निकालना शुरू करा।
नहीं, कमला नेहरू की यदि हम बात करें प्रॉपर उसकी, तो उसके कोई एप्लीकेशन हमारे पास अभी तक नहीं है। वहाँ पर देखने पे पाया, हमारी टीम द्वारा देखने को पाया, जो इक्विपमेंट थे वो आउटडेटेड से लगे थे और काम नहीं कर रहे थे। सर, कितनी दफ़े नोटिस कमला नेहरू को दिया जा चुका है जब से आपने एज सच जब से मैंने चार्ज लिया है, तो मुझे लग रहा है 4 से 5 बार सभी हॉस्पिटल्स को नोटिस गए हैं।
The Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has ordered an inquiry and a fire safety audit of all hospitals in Madhya Pradesh.
जो निष्कर्ष आएंगे, जो दोषी होगा उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी और ये भी सुनिश्चित किया जाएगा कि इस तरह की पुनरावृत्ति ना हो।
फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर नहीं है यहाँ पर और 6-7 मंजिला बिल्डिंग यहाँ बना दी है। कहा जाता है कि मध्य प्रदेश का सबसे बेस्ट हॉस्पिटल, उसमें ये हालत है। ये सरकार पूरे जिम्मेदार है, पूरा हेल्थ स्ट्रक्चर फेल हो चुका है मध्य प्रदेश के अंदर।
Few months back, Bhopal Municipal Corporation identified 100 hospitals running without proper fire safety measures, mostly the private hospitals. But this fire hydrant inside the Kamla Nehru Hospital will tell you that what went horribly wrong inside this government hospital in Bhopal. With camera person Rizwan Khan, Anurag Dwari for NDTV.
All right, well, as you can see, so much has changed, but these basic things continue. ML Sehgal, let me come back to you. ML Sehgal जी, अभी हमने जो स्टोरी अभी चलाया, हमने एक और हादसा हुआ है भोपाल के एक हॉस्पिटल में 4 न्यूबॉर्न बच्चे मारे गए हैं। और यहाँ भी सवाल है कि फायर फाइटिंग इक्विपमेंट था या नहीं, अगर था वो चलता नहीं था शायद, कितने साल पहले उसको चेक किया गया था, कितने महीने पहले चेक किया गया था। तो अब आपका लड़ाई जो है, आप 25 साल ऑलमोस्ट के लिए ये लड़ रहे, इंसाफ के लिए, आप जस्टिस के लिए लड़ रहे, और अभी भी ये चीज़ हो रहा है हमारे देश में। अगर दिल्ली में नहीं है तो और किसी शहर में है। तो आपको क्या कहना है इस पे कि मतलब फायर सेफ्टी कोई सीरियसली लेता है इस देश में?
फायर सेफ्टी को कोई भी सीरियस नहीं लेता। उपहार में भी यही हालत थी, ना तो फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर थे, ना पानी का अरेंजमेंट था, कोई अरेंजमेंट नहीं था। सारे डोर क्लोज कर दिए, आग लगी, भगदौड़ हो गई, अंधेरा हो गया, लाइट चली गई। सिस्टम अभी तक ठीक नहीं हुआ, सारा सिस्टम खराब चल रहा है अभी भी।
Shekhar Krishnamurthy, would you like to add something to that very briefly about how, despite the new laws, fire safety is something we look away from in this country? Nobody cares.
Absolutely true, Vishnu. This is what happened 25 years back, and today, when I see this, I feel very sad for the parents of the children. And same cliche, that the people who are responsible will not be spared. This was told to us even by the Chief Minister of Delhi, but we are fighting now for the last 25 years. Uphaar was the same. Uphaar was the same. No fire extinguishers, no exit light burning, no footlights, no emergency lights. PA system was not functioning. No, fire safety, you might have rules, but people who are running, especially hospitals, why only talk about multiplexes and malls? We have to talk about hospitals. People come in such a situation. How can you, ignore the fire safety norms? And the people who are responsible to give NOCs, they should be held responsible. They should go for emergency inspections. They should go and check the availability of fire safety norms in the hospitals. They can't just take a lackadaisical attitude towards this.
Yeah.
How can you be so indifferent towards human lives? I don't understand. Small children.
Yeah.
So it's important. Even you said
No, it's absolutely shocking to lose a child like this, a newborn like this. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you're right.
Neelamji, what were you telling me a little earlier on? They were babies also, very young children in Uphaar. How many of them were very young?
There were 23 children.
23 children.
And the youngest of them being 30-day-old.
That's unbelievable. Naveen Soni, any last message? And I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Neelamji. Have you found closure in your life? Are you able to move on in your own mind?
See, you have to carry on with the life what you have been granted by the God. But the inside, what is happening, nobody knows. It's like insect which is traveling throughout your body, throughout your life. Whenever occasions like birthdays and such like this come, so you are more concerned about what happened, why it happened. The cases like Uphaar, if there should be a deterrent of law. If this Uphaar case has taken 25 years to come to the conclusion, had it been in a time-bound fashion, so probably other things, what today you are talking about, hospitals, Meerut, all these things, these would have not happened. Right. I think many lives would have been saved by now.
Yeah.
Here we don't bother about what fire laws are. Today I can again say, we have not gone to the cinema hall in the last 25 years, neither any one of my family. But I don't think still in these malls where you have got multiplexes and all that, there is exit and all that is very safe for any human being.
All right. Well, look, I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us, and our sincere condolences all these years later for your tremendous loss. It's a battle for justice at one level, but I don't think that loss can ever be something which we should forget, not even after so many years. Thank you. And Neelamji, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for fighting the way in which you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vishnu, for having us.
Well, several people predictably have questioned, have raised questions or asked, and a lot of these people, a lot of our people people commenting on coup would be from an entirely different generation who have no idea about what happened in Uphaar. Uphaar and the tragedy and the death of 59 people, it just seems like yesterday for many of us who reported the aftermath of that terrible fire in Delhi. Dipali Sinha has a comment. She says, why does India need big tragedies to change security and safety systems? Aquarian says, justice delayed is justice denied. All right, well, we're going to take a short break. Up after that, at least 538 huts, a couple of homes, they've been damaged in the very heavy rainfall in Tamil Nadu. More rainfall is expected. Why is this happening? Is this climate change? We speak to top experts. That's coming up. Welcome back. Well, it's been 3 days of very heavy rainfall in Tamil Nadu. 3 days after the deluge, Chennai is still waterlogged in many places. The Madras High Court has now threatened to intervene. They've said, what were you doing since the 2015 floods? Well, the state government says that they've tried to do a lot more, but these rains and the intensity of the rainfall and the fact that we've not seen something like this in several years, the fact that it's resulted in life going completely being disturbed for the last several days, that's something that needs to be reflected on. Is this a part of climate change? That's what we'll be looking at after this story.
As large pockets of Chennai remain waterlogged for the third day, the Madras High Court warned the Chennai Corporation that it would take up the issue if the situation does not improve by Saturday. The judges observed, what were you doing since 2015 floods? It's a pity. For half the year we long for water, and the rest of the year we are flooded or die in waters. As Chennai Corporation deployed 41 rescue boats today at vulnerable points amid very heavy rain forecast, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin blamed the AIADMK government that was in power for 6 years since Chennai floods.
ஸ்மார்ட் சிட்டின்னு விளம்பரப்படுத்திக்கிட்டாங்க, அதில் கொள்ளடிச்சிருக்கிறாங்க. அப்புறம் வந்து மழைநீர் வடிகால் கால்வாய் அமைக்கிறேன்னு சொல்லி அந்த துறையினுடைய அமைச்சர் அவர்கள்.
After 4 days, waters have just receded from Kanchana's hut in Chennai's Srinagar. The domestic help has no money. She managed to send her 2 children to her brother's place.
குழந்தைங்க ஈர துணியோட அந்த 3 நாள் தண்ணியோட இருந்து அந்த துணியோட போய்க்குதுங்க குழந்தைங்க. மாத்திக்க கூட துணி இல்லை. நாங்கள் என்ன பண்ண முடியும் சொல்லுங்க? எங்களுக்கு யாருமே வரவே இல்லை. யாரும் வந்து எட்டி கூட பார்க்கல. ஒரு நாய் கூட எட்டி பார்ப்பாங்க. அந்த நிலைமையில நாங்கள் கடற்கரை எங்களை யாரும் வந்து எட்டி பார்க்கல.
At Mambalam, a residential hub, waters are still ankle to knee deep. For 60-year-old flower seller Sundari, things are turning difficult. The Tamil Nadu government says already the state has received 46% excess rain, 36 centimeters versus 24. The city received 21 centimeters rain on Sunday, just 4 centimeters less than what flooded Chennai in 2015. The Chennai Corporation says they averted a major crisis by early desilting of stormwater drains and rivers. While a very heavy rain alert is still on for 2 days, the corporation advises Chennaites to stay indoors.
They should have stored safe drinking water
Number two, the phone levels, etc. Phones should be charged.
With many pockets like this completely flooded even 2 days after 21 centimeters of rain pounded the city, there is worry about the impact of the likely very heavy rainfall. The Chennai Corporation says it's fully prepared, but conditions like this bring back memories of the 2015 deluge and its devastation. In Chennai with Suresh on the Bazula Road, Sam Daniel, NDTV.
Well, joining us now, Karthik Ganeshan, Fellow at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. We're also joined by Mahesh Palawat, Vice President in Meteorology and Climate Change at SkyMet. Mr. Palawat, let me come to you first. What exactly is the weather forecast over the next couple of days?
Now low pressure area has already developed over South Andaman Sea and adjoining area. It will further intensify into a well-marked low pressure area and subsequently into a depression. And it is moving in westerly direction towards Tamil Nadu coast. So by tomorrow afternoon or late afternoon, rain intensity will once again start increasing. Today, Minamakkam has recorded only 3 mm of rain and Nungamakkam 12 mm of rain during last 9 hours. But tomorrow, intensity will significantly increase and there may be heavy to very heavy rain and thunder shower activities right from Pamban to Karaikal and Nagapattinam, Kodalur, Thanjavur, Chingalpettu, Chennai and Puducherry, all these areas and the southern districts of Andhra Pradesh such as Nellore and Tirupati. So 3-digit rainfall cannot be ruled out and these rain activities will continue until afternoon of November 11. Thereafter, as the depression will move inland and the moisture feed will start decreasing, so the weather system will start degenerating and rain activities will start reducing. But they will spread over many parts of interior Tamil Nadu as well. Yeah.
Karthik Ganeshan, is there a sense that this could be linked to climate change? I know we shouldn't be talking about one-off events, but you know, the fact of the matter is that we've seen such intensity of rainfall, number one. We've seen it in other parts of the country recently in Uttarakhand as well. Do we have enough to suggest that this is part of a change?
I mean, Vishnu, as you've rightly said, you know, you can't attribute one-off events. You know, there has to be like a detailed assessment. You know, but if you ask any expert who works in the area of climate change and studying extreme events, we do find that the frequency of these extreme events has increased significantly over the last even decade. You know, within, for instance, the major metropolitan areas of the country. For instance, in Chennai since 2015, this is at least the third flood, right? I think 2015 was, of course, the really severe one. No denying that. And I think, you know, the monsoons are still, I mean, whether it's the retreating monsoons or the southwest monsoons, are still a phenomenon that's being studied. One would argue that, you know, this is definitely the cyclone period for the country, right? This is very much within that period. So in that sense, it is a normal occurrence. But it's just that I think the conditions that actually exist on land, right, which is, for instance, you know, extended periods of not having rain, droughts, actually exacerbates the possibilities of having, you know, cyclonic storms and cyclogenesis process in the along the way. So, and I think, of course, what you're seeing here in Chennai is definitely been amplified by, you know, man-made conditions, wherein, you know, which you may have reported in the past as well, right, of rampant, you know, real estate acquisition of, of lands that were originally used for other purposes, you know, backfilling of lakes that Chennai is known for, lakes and aeries as they're called. And that's one of the reasons why I think, you know, you will find all these strange occurrences in especially those parts of the city. Yeah.
Mahesh Palawat, in terms of the retreating monsoon, how delayed has it been this year? And does that have an impact on, or can it be associated with what we are seeing?
Usually monsoon starts retreating from western parts of Rajasthan by September 17. But this year we have seen it delayed and it starts retreating by October 6 or 7. So there was a considerable delay in withdrawal of monsoon, and we can see that cyclonesis period is between October and December over Bay of Bengal as well as over Arabian Sea. So there is no direct link of retreating monsoon, but now this is the second peak. First peak will be around say by April and May, when cyclonesis occur over Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, and this is the period when northeast monsoon also starts affecting Chennai and coastal Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, all these areas. And low pressure area, depression, cyclones, this is the season of these type of cyclonesis over this Bay of Bengal as well as over Arabian Sea. But this weather system was very feeble. A cyclonic circulation was over north coast of Tamil Nadu, which has given such extremely heavy rainfall. So now depression is also forming. It will also intensify the rain activities. So Karthik has rightly said that extreme weather events are on rise, and this is man-made disasters because encroachment of water bodies, unplanned development. Earlier, this type of deluge was well sustained by metros when 3-digit rainfall was a common phenomena. But now, whenever there is a rainfall of say 100, 150 or 200 millimeter, so our metros are not able to sustain this type of weather event.
I'd like to thank you both very much for being with us. We're going to move from this look at the rainfall in Tamil Nadu to pollution and what we are seeing in the national capital region, particularly in the days after Diwali. This is in many senses the pollution capital of India, certainly among the most polluted cities on earth. Take a look.
Massive piles of garbage burned in the open in Ghaziabad, Delhi's next door neighbor. One of the reasons for the severe level of air pollution. Clearly no lessons learned despite having the worst air quality in the world in 3 of the last 4 years.
आंखों में एलर्जी के केसेस भी देखने को मिलने हैं जिसमें आंख लाल होना, आंख से पानी गिरना, आंख में खुजली होना देखने को मिलता है। 10 से 15 के बीच पेशेंट्स ब्रोंकियल एस्थमा एंड क्रोनिक ब्रोंकाइटिस के भर्ती हैं।
Adding to the already surging air pollution in and around the capital continues to be stubble burning, carried mostly from Punjab and Haryana. In Punjab, there have been 44,000 fires so far, and in Haryana there have been fewer, about 6,700. But in both states, the number of fires are the third highest since 2016. Air quality hit severe levels in the capital and 13 other places around it, levels at which the government says affects healthy people and seriously impacts those with existing diseases. Delhi's many COVID patients are suffering. Their lungs are too damaged from COVID illness to cope with hazardous air.
That's a very small size. So when we inhale them, they can go directly into our lungs and deposit it deep down inside. So they can bring changes due to that. So now the lungs of the patient who have just recovered from COVID are already weak. Some of them have fibrosis left in them. People can acquire more and more pneumonias, as well as it is almost equivalent to smoking 20 to 30 cigarettes a day.
With insufficient government intervention, millions of people suffering itchy eyes, sore throats and much worse can only hope for some wind or rain to clean up the air.
Though that air quality of Delhi from 7th evening could not become as clear as it was expected, that was major reason was that the fire counts has peaked and it has gone very high. It has gone to 4,000 to 5,000 plus. After 1 or 2 to 3 days, we are expecting that the wind speed or wind direction from the stable side might change and we can expect significant improvement.
The annual pollution crisis is relentless and state and central governments are not being able to implement effective solutions. The highest cost is being borne by the common people and those who cannot afford to plug this gap. With Xavier Thomas, Meher Pandey for NDTV.